For over a century, military aircrafts have dominated battles from the skies, striking at incredible speeds, reaching impregnable territories, lethal to the very core. The modern-day fighter jet is one of the most destructive weapons in the theatre of war. An indispensable asset in any military's arsenal, warplanes assert absolute control over a country's airspace. Guarding Indian skies is a deadly and tactical war machine, Tejas, a fighter plane that is agile and powerful. Designed for high performance, this remarkable light combat aircraft has been indigenously developed by the Defence Research and Development Organisation, DRDO, India's leading military research institution. Since the Second World War, the Indian Air Force has played a decisive role in any conflict that threatened the Indian borders. Over the years, the Air Force has defended the sovereignty of the country, but had to rely primarily on foreign suppliers for its aircraft arsenal.
We are not a small country that will continue to buy a few aircraft. We need hundreds of aircraft.
By the 1980s, India became one of the largest importers of military aircrafts in the world. This was daunting given the high costs. The Air Force bills were running into billions of dollars, which created a major strain on the financial resources of a young developing nation. To reduce dependence on foreign suppliers, it was imperative for India to build a combat aircraft indigenously. The country needed a fighter jet that could effectively operate during light combat missions, as the bulk of Air Force activities were close to the Indian borders.
Traditionally, India was using very light fighters. If you look at from historical point of view, we were using NATs, and we used it very effectively in 1965 war. We have used MiGs, which are again very lightweight fighters, and during 1971 also. And one thing Indian Air Force has realized that lightweight fighters are very, very important.
This requirement of the Indian Air Force had laid the foundation of the Light Combat Aircraft Development Program in 1983. The program aimed to create an advanced combat aircraft and set up infrastructure for the Indian defence aviation industry.
This aircraft development was taken up with the twin objective of developing an aircraft to replace the aging MiG-21 fleet of the Air Force and to develop the aircraft industry in the country and bring it to the state of the art.
After years of design studies, the Tejas structure was finalized as a small delta-winged machine and was configured to match the demands of modern combat scenarios. But for a developing nation to convert this design into a lethal fighter jet was no easy task. During the initial stages of construction, sophisticated technologies specified in the original design became cause for concern. The Indian aviation industry was clearly not equipped to take on such a mammoth project. The big question was, did India possess sufficient technology infrastructure to support such an ambitious project? To tackle the many challenges, DRDO established the Aeronautical Development Agency, ADA, whose sole purpose was the creation of core technologies for Tejas.
Technologically, the challenges faced were to design and develop an aircraft with this kind of capability. In a country where this kind of capability did not exist and the industrial support was not there, it was a challenge.
Since these technologies were being built by DRDO for the first time, the project faced a series of roadblocks. One of the biggest challenges was the frame of the aircraft, as the fighter's durability depended primarily on this design. The structure had to be purpose-built to survive harsh Indian battle conditions and to also be light in weight. Durable and lightweight materials including aluminium and lithium alloys, titanium alloys and carbon compounds were required for the construction of the aircraft. And these composite technologies had never been created in India before.
Many of the countries from outside, they said India is not in a position to make this kind of composite structures because it's a technology by itself. But today we can say that we have mastered this composite being technology, which will be light in weight, and also the life of this material is much more than what it is.
January 2001. The Bangalore airport is abuzz with excitement. India's long-awaited dream project has taken center stage as DRDO rolls out India's first indigenous light combat aircraft for test flight. The atmosphere is tense as Tejas stands on the tarmac for its maiden flight. The country's top leaders and decision-makers wait eagerly as the fate of Indian defense aviation hangs in the balance. Its future depends upon the success of this trial. But international agencies have already sowed the seeds of doubt and predicted the failure of the project. The Indian Defence Minister has received a damning report stating that the test flight will result in grave consequences. According to them, Tejas would crash and burn.
There was a report that was given to the Defence Minister, which we didn't know, that it is impossible for this team to fly this aircraft because you have no support, you have no knowledge of how to make safety critical software. You never had an experience of flying such an aircraft in the last 40 years. When I made a request to Defence Minister, you should come and you should watch there. So he didn't tell us at that time that he had that kind of a reporter.
Insecurity and apprehension hang like a dark cloud over the test flight. The voices of failure echoed around the airport. The nation's aviation industry has held its breath as their hopes and ambitions will also take flight with the success of Tejas. January 2001. The air is heavy with a mixture of anticipation and anxiety at the Bangalore airport. After 18 years of rigorous development by DRDO and less than 8 years after project sanction, India's first indigenous light combat aircraft, Tejas, stands on the tarmac for its ultimate test. Foreign aviation agencies have criticized the safety standards of the trial and prophesied the aircraft's crash. It's 10 a.m. All security checks are in place and the fighter has been cleared for its maiden flight. The atmosphere is fraught with uncertainty.
See, the spirit that when there are adverse conditions, that we must make it happen. I think that spirit what you see there was what pervaded the whole team. And people forgot from which organization they came, from where they came. The only goal was must fly this aircraft, make it safe.
At 10:18 a.m., Tejas took off with Wing Commander Rajiv Kotial in the cockpit. Everyone held their breath as they waited for the aircraft to safely complete its first aerial experience. The trial was an outright success. The prototype managed a near-perfect test flight and marked the beginning of a new era in Indian aviation.
When the aircraft really flew, the people who are feeling that it's impossible to do this work, there is a change. Change took some time for them to realize that we are no longer the people who cannot do, we are the people who can do.
Tejas is one of the most advanced supersonic fighter jets in India's Air Force today. A result of more than 25 years of innovations and trials, this fighter aircraft has redefined aviation technologies for the nation.
It's extremely user-friendly, and the aeroplane has so many features that it allows safe operations almost in its entire envelope. This is unique.
The Tejas design has been configured to fulfill the demands of modern combat scenarios. It is the smallest multi-role tactical warplane in the world. The delta wing design of Tejas gives the aircraft stealth capabilities and makes it extremely agile. The warplane integrates modern design concepts like static instability for quick maneuvers and a digital fly-by-wire system for efficient flight control. Integrated avionics of the aircraft provide the pilot with accurate information during the flight, which is digitally displayed on a glass cockpit.
The Tejas has a fully integrated avionics system with the sensors as well as the weapon systems totally integrated. This makes the pilot's job of operating the Tejas as a weapon platform very simple.
Agility and maneuverability in the sky define the effectiveness of a light combat aircraft, as these tactical warplanes engage in close combat. This can be achieved by making the fighter jet unstable.
If you take a bicycle without a rider, you push it, it will fall down. That is unstable. If you put a rider on that, it becomes stable. Now I'll try to compare a bicycle with a car. The kind of turn radius that bicycle can do, car cannot do, which means a vehicle which is unstable is very agile. But the problem is this agile aircraft is unstable. If you don't control it continuously, it will fall down.
To control this unstable flying machine, DRDO integrated the digital fly-by-wire system. This crucial technology of the aircraft provides the pilot greater handling capabilities.
It is completely computer controlled. So that makes flying very easy on Tejas. Even though the Tejas is highly unstable, the digital fly-by-wire that is fitted on the Tejas makes it absolutely stable and highly maneuverable. That is the beauty of the system. It is virtually like flying a very good video game.
The maneuverability of Tejas, accompanied with high-end avionics, makes it a force to reckon with. A fully digital glass cockpit and sophisticated flight technologies give the pilots a decisive edge.
Earlier, the entire cockpit was full of mechanical gauges and instruments, and there was limited amount of information which is available to the pilot. With this advanced technology of glass cockpit, now the entire cockpit is full of LCD or CRT monitors. Using this, the pilot will be able to get at least 100 times more information as what is compared with the earlier aircrafts.
The operational functionality of Tejas is supported by more than 30 onboard high-performance computers. The complex design of these technologies required validation at every step. To assess them as a unified machine, each individual technology was integrated into a skeletal system of the aircraft at the Ironbird facility.
This is the final step before we clear the software and the flight control system for the aircraft for flight. What we call, this is the final goal to catch all problems that can manifest in the flight. They should be all removed here, and a fault-free system is to be delivered to the aircraft.
The introduction of new cockpit technologies made pilot familiarization an important part of the training process for the fighter. While Tejas was still on the drawing board, a special flight simulator was built to evaluate the aircraft's flight control system and to train pilots for the digital interface of the cockpit. This unit simulates a real-life flight training exercise to enhance the pilot's aircraft operational capabilities.
Even if your new pilot is coming from the squadron, first he is taken to these two places. Within about 2 months, without a trainer being available, they get fully accustomed to these flying capabilities. And one of the best things is that most of the pilots, they say that the real-time simulator is just like the aircraft.
By the early 2000s, DRDO was ready with various flight prototypes of the aircraft. It was time to take them out on the runway and put them through real-time tests. To determine the airworthiness of these prototypes, the National Flight Test Center was set up in Bangalore.
The National Flight Test Center was formed with the primary objective of flight testing the Indian light combat aircraft, Tejas.
An elite squadron of test pilots conduct the final trials of every Tejas at this center. They define the aircraft's operational capabilities and behavioral patterns in various test conditions.
We have a team of the pilots, about 6 of them, sitting with us for the last 15 years. And I call them the highest level of designers. Because of their operational experience, they keep telling us how the aircraft has to be pilot friendly. And we have a terminology, pilot vehicle interface, the continuous interactions with them. All the switches in the cockpit, all the symbols that we see on the displays are all totally decided by them.
Over the past decade, Tejas LCA has completed nearly 2,000 successful test flights. The aircraft has been tested in various weather conditions and has been cleared to operate in every Indian battle zone. Tejas is one of the most advanced single-engine combat aircraft in the world today. Equipped with 4th+ generation technologies, this tactical warplane can lead the charge during any aerial combat. Developed by DRDO, it is an example of seamless integration of technology and craftsmanship.
If we take our aircraft today, we are in the almost like 4th generation. That means the agility of the aircraft, the speed of the aircraft, the weapon delivery capability of the aircraft, the undetectability of the aircraft, all required to be enhanced for the modern air warfare.
Apart from being an agile warplane, Tejas also packs a punch when it comes to firepower. It has the ability to incorporate some of the most destructive weapons available in the world today.
In the last 20 years, the war scenario has changed, the threat scenario has changed, and also the availability of the weapons have changed.
Tejas has 8 weapon stations that offer flexibility in the choice of firepower the fighter can carry in various mission roles. To extend the fighter's flight endurance for demanding missions, provisions of drop tanks were made to carry additional fuel. Tejas is also equipped with in-flight refueling facilities for mid-air fuel refills. The flexible architecture of the aircraft allows the users to change its weapons on demand.
Today, all new weapons that are coming up, there is no issue today. That is our own aircraft. We know how to change this, how to modify it, how to handle it.
The Tejas program has laid the platform for future aviation technologies in India. With a light combat aircraft already under production and a state-of-the-art aviation infrastructure in place, DRDO has started the development of Tejas Navy, an advanced naval variant of the Tejas Mark I. This aircraft will be a crucial part of the Indian Navy's expansion and maritime strategy. Designed to be stationed on an aircraft carrier, this combat aircraft will take off from a floating airfield.
LCA Navy is a first-time development in the country to build an air element for the Indian Navy. Now this is basically going to be a deck-based aircraft, a single-engine fighter aircraft which is capable of air defense to operate from an aircraft carrier which is being indigenously designed and built in the country today.
The advent of Tejas has elevated Indian aviation to the next level. DRDO is now setting its sights higher. Design studies have begun for a medium combat aircraft that will rule the Indian skies in the near future.
It is quite natural that India will embark upon its next fifth generation fighter design and development program. This program is known as Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, which is conceived along with users and customized for the Indian Air Force requirement for post-2025.
See, Tejas helped you not only to build a front-ranking fighter, it also brought a lot of new technologies, new infrastructure, trained thousands of people. And as a result, not only you have a fighter, but you have a ecosystem in the country where new technologies, high technologies is no longer something you are unaware. And today India has become a major center for engineering services in aviation. And without Tejas, it wouldn't have been possible.
Tejas Mark I demonstrates India's new confidence and power in the skies. This advanced light combat aircraft is an important component of the Indian Air Force. Indigenously designed by the Defence Research and Development Organization, Tejas may well change the future of aerial combat.